and I was amazed at what I learned about her accomplishments and the depth of her community involvement. What was instantly clear to me was that Sandy Vargas is someone who has personal impact. But not having the pleasure of connecting with Sandy until today, I did the next best thing that I could, and I reached out to her good friend Gloria Perez, a member of our club and CEO of the Jeremiah Project. Fast moving. And Sandy certainly was fast moving this week, too fast for me to track her down. And by the way, Gloria was moving really quick this week too, between lots of different stuff, and you know that they're pretty much kindred spirits. But she still found time to reach out and talk to me, and she shared pages and pages of adoration for this woman. But just a few of them that I want to share with you today. So fast moving were two of the first words that Gloria used to describe Sandy. And Sandy has to be fast moving to keep up with all of her commitments. Since 2007, Sandy has served as a president and CEO of the Minneapolis Foundation, where she oversees the management of $600 million in assets, the administration of more than 1,000 charitable funds, and the distribution of more than $30 million in grants each year. Sandy's talk today, an update on closing the achievement gap, is a topic critically important to the goals of this club to improve literacy and education in the city of Minneapolis. So I asked Gloria where she thought Sandy's center was. Where did Sandy draw her strength? Where does she get the ability to commit the way that she does, her inspiration for her community involvement? And Gloria describes Sandy, and Sandy doesn't know any of this, so I think she'll get a little nervous over there. Gloria describes Sandy as a strong woman from a family of strong women, and that Sandy deeply loves and is committed to children and family. Although she has no children of her own, Sandy, in many ways, has many children, as her deep sense of community and family drives her to be a mother figure, godmother, role model, and mentor to her many nieces and nephews and cousins and extended family. And the depth of her commitment to family is certainly evidenced by her willingness to take in and raise 2 teenage nieces who relocated to Minneapolis, one from Texas and one from northern Minnesota, to attend an art and performance school. Sandy is a native Minnesotan, holds a bachelor's in business administration from the College of St. Catherine, and holds a master's in public administration from Harvard's John F. Kennedy School of Government. Gloria told me that Sandy infuses her energy into her work. And if you could bottle Sandy Vargas, you would certainly have a locally sourced solution to our nation's energy crisis. Sandy is active on a number of Twin City organizations and serves on the boards of MinCan, St. Catherine University, the Downtown Council, the Blake School, Wallen Education Partnership, and the Center for Leadership Innovation. Gloria pointed out that Sandy was an early supporter and a strong advocate of Casa de Esperanza, a domestic violence help agency in St. Paul. Sandy previously served as Hennepin County Administrator, the top executive position in Hennepin County government, where she managed a $2 billion budget, that is with a B, and 12,000 employees. She's also held positions with the Minnesota Department of Economic Development and management positions at the City of Minneapolis and the Minnesota Department of Transportation. Sandy has received numerous honors through her career, and in 2010 was awarded the Medal of Honor from St. Catherine's University. So please join me in welcoming to the finest podium in Minneapolis, our honorary member, community leader, asset manager, charity guru, family and community leader, and Medal of Honor winner, Sandy Vargas.
I just want to say thank you so much for the warm welcome, and thank you so much for the invitation to speak to you today. I have to tell you that I have had the pleasure of having my whole career in Minnesota, in Minneapolis, as a matter of fact, some in St. Paul. But I also want you to know that Ramla and I were just talking, where she is. My grandparents are all from Mexico, and so I spent time down there. I spent 2 weeks down there just about a month ago, and to keep in close touch with my culture. And that's the other kind of inspiration that I've been given. And Ramla's family is originally from Somalia. And so we have fun times talking about how do you spend holidays? What do you do over the holidays? So totally different. But I think as you look at the presentation that I'm going to give you today, you will be hearing more and more about how different groups in our community think about living their lives here in Minneapolis. And I think it's much different than it was decades ago. And so I'm pleased to present some information to you that the Minneapolis Foundation has put together. And I have to tell you that just in opening, the Minneapolis Foundation is going to celebrate its 100th birthday in 2015. So we're getting ready to do that. But I just want to congratulate you. And as I heard the Beatles sing, I thought, wow, is this ever a wild kind of group? I thought everybody was going to be kind of stiff and serious. Anyways, that got us off to a great start this afternoon. So I just want to tell you, thank you. Thank you especially to the Beatles. So today what I'd like to talk to you about is a very serious issue. It's about the achievement gap here in Minnesota, mostly in Minneapolis. But I want to go through a couple of different bullet points with you just to give you the information that I think you should have. But I have told Sharon that she has the right to take the hook and pull me off at the time that it's time for me to stop. So hopefully it won't be in mid-sentence, but if it is, it'll be okay. So there's 4 things here. I want to talk a little bit about our vision at the Minneapolis Foundation. It's called One Minneapolis. I also want to talk about the challenge that the information I'll give you shows us. It's huge. Talk about some of the implications for long term, and then talk about some emerging solutions. So the vision. I just wanted to tell you that the Minneapolis Foundation, our staff and our board have just put together a purpose statement that I think is really wonderful. And it has kind of 3 parts to it. First, it's to bring people together, and that is really the beginning of anything good, as you know, in the Rotary Club here. Secondly, it's to expand the culture of generosity in our community. And again, as I heard Sharon talking, I know you are expanding the culture of generosity as we are at the Minneapolis Foundation. And then third, and this is probably the focus of the talk today, is to improve the quality of life for all. And the for all is what I want you to keep in the back of your mind as I talk about the statistics and give the information that I'm going to give you. So we have a vision that says a greater Minneapolis is what we desire. A greater Minneapolis that's vibrant, inclusive, positioned to thrive locally and compete globally. And I want to tell you that we have 5 focus areas. And we know that all of these focus areas lead to a vibrant community, lead to a community that's alive, that has got a great economy, that is moving in the right direction. Those are arts and culture. And I have to tell you, the donors at the Minneapolis Foundation have done a tremendous job of giving to the arts community in this community. It is unbelievable how much they have given. Education is one of our top goals, and it's not only education, but it's transforming education, and I'll talk a little bit more about that, obviously. And economic vitality. And when we say economic vitality, we're talking about jobs and housing and small business. Many of you are in the small business arena, and so you know how important that is. Civic engagement, again, you know, another value from the Rotary Club. I think this is great civic engagement. And then we talk, and our donors also love the areas of health and the environment. So those are areas that we really focus on and we really measure. So we commissioned a study and analysis from the Wilder Foundation, and we have put it together with some narrative called One Minneapolis. And let me tell you that we have found some huge challenges. So the picture that you have of Minneapolis as the bright, shining city is very different depending on what part of the community you are part of. So let me just tell you a few things about Minneapolis. We are here every day. You're here, we're here downtown in this beautiful building. But I also want to say that this is a pivotal moment for our community. First of all, just so you know, And I'm going to talk a fair amount about communities of color. I'm going to talk about those communities that have been here, some for a long time, whether it's African American, whether it's a Latino community, or the newer communities, whether it's Hmong community, Asian community, or the Somali community, the African community, different kinds of communities from around the world that have come in the recent decades. But I do want to tell you that in Minneapolis, our population right now is 40% people of color. And that is a big number and growing much, much bigger. I also want to say, and a lot of you can't see it, I can't see it, so except for the one in front of me, is that on the right, it shows the average age of different groups. And I can tell you that communities of color are on the average 26 or 27 years old, where the white population is 10 years older. And so we've got higher numbers coming in, much younger, and then there's a part of our community that's getting much older. And so our demographics are starting to change significantly. And McKinsey just recently looked at this whole issue of demographics, and they have a note that says by 2042, the state of Minnesota will have a majority of people of color as the population. So it will go over 50% within the next 30 years. It may be faster than that. As you look at different parts of the country, you see what's happening. Okay, I also want to say, can you go to the next one? Thank you. That we had a report called One Minneapolis done, as I said, from the Wilder Foundation. And I have to tell you, we have some of the worst educational outcomes in the nation. And that is not something that people know, because our averages are pretty high for white students. But if you look underneath those averages, we've got some of the largest racial gaps in the country. So I want to tell you that we've just seen the 2012 data, and racial gaps are still the widest on educational indicators, and I'm going to get into that a little bit so you know a little bit more about it. We're also seeing a few signs of improvement, but we're worse off economically than we were in 2000, which is not surprising because we had that huge downturn some years ago. But let me just tell you that between white kids and Hispanic kids, we have 47 points. The disparity is 47 points wide. So in fact, if you're talking about Latino kids, Hispanic kids, you can see an issue where they are not ready for school, or at least 50% of them are not ready for school. And that is a really hard start for going in, especially if you're coming out of a Spanish-speaking family and you're going into school where we have eliminated all of our bilingual education. So I can tell you that that is costing us a lot of money, the fact that we haven't got kids ready for school. But I do want to tell you that there has been some improvement in that kindergarten readiness, and both in kindergarten readiness and then high school graduation is up slightly. And again, we're worse off economically than we were in 2000. Poverty is up, proportion of adults working is down, and low-income households with affordable housing is down. One thing about kindergartners, though, is that you can't just group everybody together, because in terms of white kids, we've got between 88 to 90% that are ready for K. The next group that's ready, and I'll have to ask Ramla about this because she's a mom, and is that Somali kids have a very high readiness to go into K. So we've got some real research to do about why certain communities why their kids are ready to go into kindergarten, why others aren't. And